What is happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own fantasy football huddle presented by Danklyfe brand and yours truly, Dallas Clark. Today I am so excited. Can nobody take my pride and can nobody hold me down? The majority of my fantasy football leagues are drafting today, the day that we're recording this video and the day that it's being released. I'm going to have a live stream of the fantasy football huddles draft that we have going on the ESPN league. I'll have that going on for you guys today around 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you stay tuned in if you want to help yourself out and hit that subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell so you always know when new content is coming out. That'd be greatly appreciated by myself and your fantasy football team, because this year we are hoisting that trophy over those idiots in your fantasy football league. And if you like the content, please make sure you smash that like button. You have no idea how much it helps out, as well as comments like this one from Moxman just last night on last night's video saying, hey, good shit, man. I like this guy. You got the style, the good music, and most importantly, the knowledge. I hope your channel blows up. Moxman, I gotta tell you, man, I hope it blows up too. And you're not the only person that said that this week, and I really appreciate all the love and support that I get from all you people, man. It really helps me understand why I continue to do this. I've started this channel out to help out with my own research, and it helps me out and it makes me happy to know that I'm helping so many more people than just myself and a couple of my friends out on this YouTube channel. So with everybody's help, I can blow up, and it's all up to y'all. But thank you so much, and I'm here for you guys. And today, we're going to be continuing our rookie playbook. We're going over draft mistakes that new players and players that might just need a refresher should be avoiding in their draft. There's not going to be a ton of strategy in this video today. It's going to be very quick, simple, to the point. And I've got multiple videos and a live stream coming out today. So if this isn't the video for you, if you're more experienced, you know those mistakes, or you just kind of want to breeze through it to get that refresher on those couple of quick mantras you need to say to yourself to avoid these draft mistakes, well then this is the place for you. But like I said, we're talking about draft mistakes you should avoid today. And before we do, let's fill up our cup, roll something up, and get right into the first mistake you should avoid, which I've told you guys, I'm going to say it 100 times before you draft this year. It's very important for you to learn your league's specific rules. If I'm giving you rankings based on half-point PPR or standard or full-point PPR or wherever you're getting your research from is giving you a certain set of rankings and your league is not following that same scoring platform, those same rules, then you might be shooting yourself in the foot by following somebody else's advice. What we're going to be doing is learning our league specific rules, learning the different scoring. Do quarterbacks get 4 points for throwing a touchdown or 6 points? Am I getting 1 point for every reception, or is it just going to be standard scoring? That's very important for you to learn, for you to adjust your own rankings. The second rule that we're going to be talking about, the second mistake that you don't want to make, that I see everybody mistake every year, or everybody make this mistake every year, and I just can't stop saying this. This will not be your final roster. Too many people go into draft day thinking they're going to win their league right here, right now, over the next 16 picks. The plain and simple fact of the matter is 40 to 60% of your roster is going to be changing throughout the season. Come trades, come waiver wire pickups, free agency additions, whatever it is, this roster will look drastically different at the end of the year than it will when you draft at the end of your draft. The draft is just the start of the success that you're going to see this year. And of course, you're going to go in there, you're going to do your research, you're going to have players that you're targeting. However, this is not your final roster. Don't think that you won or lost your league at the end of your draft. The third rule that we're going to be talking about today is going back into those pick-by-pick selections. It's do not let bye weeks overly affect your strategy. I see too many people being concerned because when you look at your fantasy football draft, you're seeing very little information about a player. You're seeing their name, the position that they play, where they're ranked at amongst the position players in their same position, and you see their bye week next to their projected total points. And a lot of people focus too heavily on that bye week, and the plain and simple fact of the matter, going back to the last mistake, is this is not your final roster. You're gonna get a lot of changes, and plain and simply, if you, let's just say every person you draft on your team, which is almost impossible, has a week 13 bye. They all have the same bye week, and you make it to week 13 without any changes. What is stopping you from just having week 13 and chalking it up as a loss while you continue the rest of your season at 90+% on your roster while the rest of your league is struggling with bye weeks? Do not let bye weeks affect your strategy overly. Of course, after the draft, as you approach those bye weeks, you're going to want to pay attention to make sure you don't screw yourself over and you can get on that waiver wire ahead enough time to make those decisions on that bye week. But when it comes to your draft, don't let you like a player, but he has the same bye week as the other running back you drafted in the previous round, so you don't take the player that you wanted. The fourth rule that we're going to be talking about today is going to be do not overly draft injured or suspended players without having either the injured reserve spots on your team or the roster ability to do so. If you draft, a good running back room, then there's nobody stopping you from taking Nick Chubb late in the round, hoping for the best for Nick Chubb. However, if you're struggling at running back and you see Nick Chubb out there, you went with a 0 RB strategy, Nick Chubb not playing for the first God knows how many weeks of the season is not going to help your team out, and you're going to draft him and you're not going to want to drop him, so you're essentially eliminating one entire roster spot off of your team by taking somebody that your roster was not built to take. There's players like TJ Hawkinson and Nick Chubb that people want to draft, and you're seeing people draft in a lot of drafts so far this offseason. However, when you're looking at it and those players are not going to be playing for at least the first couple of weeks of the year, those roster spots on those people's benches are going to be locked up because they don't want to drop Nick Chubb. The closer you get to him coming back to being healthy, why would you drop him? You've waited this long, why would you drop him? You're clogging up a bench spot with those players. So do not overly draft suspended or injured players that you cannot use without having the roster ability to do so. Before we continue on to the last few rules that we're going to be talking about today, I want to make sure to ask you guys, if you haven't yet, do check us out over on Spotify with our more convenient options to listen to the show if you don't have the time to watch it here on the mothership. Also, make sure you smash that like button and drop down in the comments below and let me know how your drafts have been going throughout this week. I'm going to ask the same question in all my videos throughout the next 4 or 5 days because I want to know what everybody's drafts are feeling like. I know how everybody always talks about nobody cares about your fantasy football lineup. Let me tell you something. I care, okay? I care deeply. So send me those fantasy football rosters and drop them in the comments below. Before we get started into the last rule, of course, let me make sure to ask you to drop the subscriptions bar as well as that notifications bell so you always know when new content is coming out. You also need to know what Rule 5 is, which is to not lock in on a specific strategy in your fantasy football roster. You need to be comfortable with multiple strategies. If you're going in with a hero RB strategy and you have the 6th pick or something like that, and the first 5 picks in your draft go running back, it seems like you might not be able to go with your hero RB strategy. You're going to have to call an audible at the line, Omaha, and you're going to have to change your strategy up right then and there. It's important to be flexible, to be comfortable with a multitude of different options and different strategies when it comes to your fantasy football drafts. And because fantasy football is just like a real life football season, everything is subject to tons of adversity, tons of change, and just an absolute large amount of craziness. Last 2 rules we're talking about today, last 2 mistakes that we don't want to make. Number 6 is going to be that you want to make sure that you're not using just one tool, one resource for your fantasy football research. As much as I love you guys watching my content and watching every video, you need to make sure that you're looking at the different rankings on the different fantasy apps, whether it's ESPN, Yahoo, Sleeper, because the rankings, if you go right now and you Google, let's just say Jordan Love. Let's say you Google Jordan Love and see what his ADP is. It might be quarterback 8 on ESPN. On Sleeper, it might be quarterback 10. On Yahoo Fantasy, he could be quarterback 6, just with the differences in the users that are on those platforms. So make sure you're combining multiple resources and multiple points of information for you to put together your perfect rules. If you haven't seen it yet, I showed you a video earlier in this offseason that taught you exactly how to build your own rankings, just like the experts do. If you need to check it out, it's in the descriptions below, and it'll help you out immensely with your fantasy football research. It's definitely a useful tool. Now, the last rule we're going to be talking about today, and sometimes can be the most important, you have to save the best for last, it's to stop wasting late round picks on low upside players. Don't clog your bench with useless players that you never want to start, but you never want to drop because you don't want somebody else that needs this player to potentially be able to use this player. Stop that argument in your head when it comes to Monday nights, Tuesday nights, and you're looking at that waiver wire. Stop wasting late round picks on those low upside players. When it comes to those late round picks, when you're picking around your defense and your kicker and you're trying to add those last 2 or 3 spots, you need to be buying damn lottery tickets. 35, 37. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go on. You need to be buying lottery tickets when it comes to those late rounds because you need to buy people that are either going to explode in those first couple of weeks. You can now use this person as a trade target or a depth piece on your roster for an injury or something like that. Or they do not perform to the expectations you thought and you have no problems cutting ties with that player. You need to have very little emotion with these players when it comes to them on your fantasy football roster. I'm a Colts fan and I try to avoid drafting players like Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson, because I know that I would be less likely to drop Anthony Richardson through a struggling fantasy football season than I would be Joe Burrow, than I would be Lamar Jackson, than I would be anybody else because I've got the emotion attached to it. So let's make sure that we're not wasting our late round picks on low upside players. Buy those lottery tickets and do not clog your bench. That is going to do it for all you rookies and all you players that just needed a refresher today on mistakes that you should be avoiding when it comes to your fantasy football drafts. I got a ton more content coming out, not just today, but this week as well. So make sure you're staying tuned into everything. And as always, keep your chin up and your attitude down, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.